Karibu sana to today's episode of In Chambers with Mohamed Mwigai. My name is Gabriel Mwangi, a partner here at Mohamed Mwigai, specializing in dispute resolution. Today, we are truly privileged to be joined by Mr. Geoffrey Imende, the managing partner here at Mohamed Mwigai. Apart from our two senior partners, Jeff is the senior most advocate at the firm and the colleague who's been here the longest, apart from two other gentlemen, that's Lawrence and Alex. Now, Jeff, karibu sana to this episode.
Thank you very much, Gabriel.
Jeff, I think MM has had a long and successful history. And it's also a history that has been unbroken, so to speak, in terms of the laying of hands that characterizes a legal training. We learn to be advocates from more senior advocates who take us under their wing. And I think for you, you're unique in that you represent the link between the MM of old, which included a stellar cast of very many people, including the likes of the late Justice Majanja, Mr. Protas Saende, Issa Mansour, Mudomi Thiankolu, Pauletta Chieng, Rose Mbanya before you. There are so many names that have passed through here. So you seem to be the link between that MM of old and the MM as it is today. So that's something I would want us to explore a bit in our conversation today.
Yeah, sure.
But before we get to talk about Jeff as managing partner, I would like us to talk a bit about Jeff the man. Okay, if you don't mind, of course. All right, Jeff, when and where did you enter appearance into this world?
Oh, all right, so I was born in 1978 in Eldoret town. My father was working there at Kenya Commercial Bank, and my mother was a nurse at the General Hospital in Eldoret. So I'm the fourth born in a family of, we are four siblings. I schooled in Aria Samaj Nursery School in Eldoret. I also went to Wasingishu Primary School in Eldoret, up to Standard 1. Before we finished, my father got transferred to Nakuru. So we moved to Nakuru. So I joined St. Joseph's Primary School in Nakuru. So I schooled in Nakuru together with my siblings up to, I finished primary school. Secondary school, I went to Kericho High School. After that, I went to Moyo University. That's where I did my undergrad. Yeah. That's the brief.
And before we get to university, how was your childhood like, growing up in Eldoret and then Nakuru?
My childhood has two phases, if I may call it that. My dad died in 1988 when I was 10. So before that, we had... it was a good childhood. We enjoyed ourselves. Dad was able to do certain things that other people are not privileged enough to enjoy. I first went to try and swim at Sirikwa Hotel in Eldoret. Then we moved to Nakuru. Then he got sick. And then that's the second phase, so to speak. And he passed away. He had a heart condition, so he passed away in 1988 when I was in primary school, class 4. So the second part of my childhood was a bit difficult because my mother had to work through bringing us up, the four of us. All of us were in primary school. My dad died when I was in class 4. My elder sister was in class 8. So she had to juggle her work, bringing us up, putting resources together to be able to get us through school, college, university for myself and my late brother. So that second part was a bit difficult, but I give a lot of credit. I'm very grateful to my mother for she put in a very difficult shift and did a very good job in juggling her meager payslip, but she did a very good job to get us through and get us to where we are. So I'm very grateful with her.
Not Geoffrey, I think there's a story you tell about how you'd survive during those days with the strong tea and thin chapatis. If you don't mind relating that.
No, that's a terrible story. But it just shows the resilience that all of us have within ourselves in adversity. So one of those days, the story is told about my mother not having enough money and calling us to a meeting. She used to call us to meetings every so often to just discuss the state of the finances, saying your school fees is coming, your new term is coming, I need to raise school fees. This is the money for school fees. What I remain with is this. So one of those times she would come and tell us, I have 100 shillings to last us this number of days until the next paycheck. So my sister used to work magic with that 100 shillings. She would buy a packet of unga ya chapati with the tea leaves, some little quarter kilo of sugar. That time 100 shillings could really go some long way. Yeah, and then the big sufuria, make black tea. You keep adding more water when it goes down, adding more water. And then she would make like 50, 60 chapatis, very thin ones. So you'd get chapati with strong tea, breakfast, lunchtime, jioni. And the week would go, the whole week, on that 100 shillings. So we learned to be a bit resilient during that time. And there was togetherness in the family, just knowing the circumstances we were working under. And yeah, I think that's part of what has helped us be who we are today. And we are very grateful.
There's something about hardship that builds character.
Absolutely. And to everyone who's out there who's undergoing some of these challenges, they have a way of building your character. You know resilience, you know how to deal with adversity, and it doesn't take you down. And I think it's not necessarily a bad thing to go through. You don't ask for it, but when you get yourself in adversity, the effort, the strength to work through it builds that character in you. Yes.
So let's move now to your law studies. What or who made you decide to study law?
So I was never meant to be a lawyer. My mother, as I mentioned, is a nurse, is a retired nurse, and she always admired doctors. And she always told us, I want you to either be a doctor or a teacher. At that time, those were the professions which were very held in high regard. And the thing that then was that there was a guarantee of employment by the government if you are a doctor or a nurse, or a doctor or a teacher. So she would insist on all of us to try and be either of those. So because of my grades in high school, she kept pushing me, you must become a doctor, you must become a doctor. And of course, following her advice, that's where my first choice when I was selecting the university options, first was law. No, not first of law. First was medicine, and then second was education, and then third was law.
Law was your third choice?
Yes, law was my third choice. But then, as some experience I had some time when my mother was unwell, and we had to go and see her in hospital. Just the reaction I had to seeing a lot of blood here and there in the hospital, I think it was an accident somewhere. And then a patient was rushed in the emergency room, and they were passing through. They were being treated just next to where my mother was admitted. The way I reacted to the whole situation, the blood, I passed out, I'm told. And I realized this is not my thing. So I did some soul searching, consulted with Dr. Mutaka Kangu is one of is my uncle, distant uncle.
Okay.
So some conversations here and there, and the coin dropped, as it were. And then we used to have a change. You could change your choice.
Yes.
So I went to change my choice and put law as the first one. So that's how I ended up becoming a lawyer.
I'm curious, why education? Why did education feature in the...
Education featured because, remember I told you my mother said it is a doctor and a teacher.
Yes.
Because for her, the key was to ensure that immediately you leave campus, you're employed. You're absorbed in government. That time, all teachers were absorbed by government. All doctors were absorbed by government, except those ones who went to private practice. So it was a guaranteed job. And for her, that was key.
Okay.
That's how education, I had no interest in education myself, but because my mother advised me to take that up, that's how I did it. So for me, my advice to the young ones who are coming up, either in university or especially in high school, it's good to take advice from your parents. But it's also important to do your introspection and know yourself, understand yourself, what you like, because you're going to do this for the rest of your life. So if you know something that you like, it's been forced on you by your parents, you may not necessarily enjoy it. Some people do degrees and they leave it there. I've done it for my parents. Now let me go and do what I wanted to do.
Yes.
So it's good to do that soul searching. And you'll make mistakes. On the way, mistakes are normal. You make mistakes, learn from the mistake. But try and have that conversation with yourself and consult with mentors and whatnot to be able to pick the right course by the time you're finishing high school. It's very, very important.
So, Jeff, when did you join Moyo University School of Law?
I joined Moyo University in 1998.
All right. And I think you joined as a regular student?
Yes, I did. That time, there was no parallel program.
Okay.
That time when I joined, the first cohort of Moyo University Faculty of Law was in fourth year. That's the cohort of Professor Kindiki.
Oh, right.
They were in fourth year and we were in first year. The whole faculty, I think we were less than 100.
Oh.
Yeah, because our class, we had 20-something students. Second year were, I think, 40, 20, 30, something like that.
It was a small class.
Very small niche class. Yeah. In fact, we have a WhatsApp group. We know each other, all of us, because it's a very small niche group, yes.
And I think for some of us who were supported by HELB, we got to experience mwisho wa mwezi before we started earning a salary.
Yes.
At Moyo University School of Law, what would be your typical diet when HELB was running out?
So HELB, I applied for the entire HELB amount, which was around 45,000, 50,000 that time. I used to get 20,000 a month, a semester. Yeah. So because of the challenges in terms of finances from home and all that, I used to cook. I used to cook for myself. I had a small meko, and that's what I used to cook. So I would buy skuma, ugali. That's the typical meal. When it's Sunday and things are good, mayai. So skuma, mayai, and ugali. That's the best. Sometimes cabbages we do, and I enjoyed that. And I'm told I made a mean. I used to pick chapos sometimes. Some of my friends used to come and enjoy either the cabbage with the ugali or with the egg. When I'm inviting a young lady to have lunch and put the mayai there. I think that's part of what charmed Mary.
Your exceptional egg cooking skills.
Kabisa. And cabbages.
And cabbage.
Yes. So I never used to go to the mess. Jomo Nyaribu, one of my very good friends, he's the one who used to go to the mess using his HELB. So code 20, code 15. Code 15, the number tells you the cost of the meal. So code 15 was a meal for 15 shillings. So you'd have, I don't know, it was dengu, a piece of chapati, and skuma, something like that. Yeah, but I never used to go to the mess. Yes.
So, taking back to your time in university and just navigating legal studies and all that comes with it, what piece of advice would you give to law students who are watching you today?
My advice to the upcoming lawyers or any other professional coming up is nothing comes in a place of comfort. Nothing comes in a place of comfort. If you're in a place of comfort for a long time, you're not growing, you're not progressing, you need to change something. So embrace discomfort. You must embrace discomfort. And by this, I mean, for instance, if you want to build muscle, you can't be comfortable and you're going to the gym, for instance, you're doing something, you're not sweating, you're not feeling any pain after. that means you're not growing. You're not progressing. You're not pushing yourself. It's only by pushing yourself and taking yourself to a place of discomfort where you are adding more weight or pushing yourself to failure. That's when growth happens. And therefore, for the young and upcoming professionals, you must be able to push yourself to that other place, lose some sleep, avoid a party, going to a party here, avoid going to another party there, cut down on certain things to ensure that you focus more on your studies. If you need to make a meeting, to go and visit somebody, a professional who is a mentor or a would-be mentor, you have to have that uncomfortable conversation with him to break the ice. So it's only out of discomfort that progress comes. So to the young ones, part of what I did in campus was I wasn't in too many of these activities around campus. Mine most of the time was Margaret Thatcher Library, MTL. We used to call it MTL. The library was my very good friend. So I used to spend most of my time there and in my room. I'm an early person. So I'd go to the library in the morning, in the evening. Those people who transnight, that's not my piece of cake. I don't enjoy that. So yeah, that discomfort, that sacrifice, it'll pay later. So the sacrifice that I think I made at that time in terms of not indulging in certain things, of course, there was no money to do it anyway. So I think my life was made a bit easier to be able to just focus on my studies. Yes.
And I think having spent a good portion of your time in the library with your studies, it's rumored that you're the first class from Moyo University. Is that fact or fiction?
No, that's fiction. That's fiction. Jackson Mogoto the late was the first class at Moyo University Faculty of Law.
Yes. All right. So now coming to your pupilage at Muhammad Migai, and before we get there, at some point when you're in that season of your life, you're like the proverbial hyena straddling two paths. If you don't mind mentioning or explaining to us that very brief episode or a brief dalliance you had with a big unnamed law firm before you joined us.
Yeah, so like I said, I was born in Eldoret. I grew up in Nakuru, and I schooled in Eldoret again and Kericho. So I didn't know anyone in Nairobi by the time I was joining campus. So of course, the law firms, I didn't know any law firm. I didn't know anyone in the law firms. It's only my good friend Jomo who had those connections around Nairobi. So application pupilage, he just told me, put together the application. And of course, that time you're writing them by longhand. It's longhand. So you write, you make a mistake, throw away that paper, pick another one, start again. So I made several applications and I gave them to Jomo. He knew the good law firms to drop them at, so he did. So I was called for interviews several places. And upon consulting a couple of friends that I'd made at the university, I came to here at Muhammad Migai and at another law firm, I think the one you're mentioning. So I was privileged to be asked to join both law firms. And there was a dilemma about which law firm I should join. I remember I had financial constraints at the point. The said big law firm was offering more in terms of a stipend for pupilage. And that was a very big attraction for me at that point because my mother had told me, I'm done. I've taken you to campus, Kenya School of Law. Now you're the one who's supposed to now take care of us. So I couldn't start asking my mother for money. So I knew this stipend that I'm getting is supposed to sort me out and also have something to send back to my mother. So the attraction there was to join that other law firm or to come here. So that morning, after consulting everyone, I hadn't made up my mind. So Monday morning, I've woken up. I was staying in Rongai with my late friend Philip. I've left Rongai in a matatu 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm in town by 7 o'clock, and I'm walking from the stage from Harambee Avenue. I'm walking towards the offices. They're in the same general direction. I'm still lost. I have not decided. I have thought. I have prayed about it. I'm still lost. So I walk to the ground floor lift of the other law firm. I press the floor and it opens. whatever it is that happened, I don't know. I can't explain it to you. But I turned. The lift opened. I was about to walk in. People were walking in. I turned and I walked to Hazina Towers. And that was the end of that story. I've never been able to explain why or how.
Yes.
But sometimes the powers up there do certain things for you.
They intervene.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. And you also tell a story of a certain encounter you had with one of our senior partners at that time of your pupilage season.
Yeah. My interview, I was interviewed first by the late Justice Majanja, who was also my teacher and mentor. So I passed that interview and he told me, now you need to come and meet Professor, Senior Counsel Gideon Muigai. So I came very early, knowing the stature of the person I'm coming to meet. So I was at the office by 7 o'clock in the morning. My interview, I think, was supposed to be at 9. And so I sat there. They used to have a receptionist called Liz Kibochi.
Yeah.
Liz Kibochi came at almost 8, offered me tea. So I had tea, I had another cup of tea, I had a third cup of tea. It's 9 o'clock, 9:20, 9:30, 10. 4 cups of tea later, I tell Liz, what's going on? Is this guy coming? She said, yeah, he's going to come. You wait. So when it reached around 11, now he's getting restless. I'm like, no, this is too much. I have been waiting here for almost 4 hours. So I'm like, let me use the bathroom and then I go. Because I was going for another interview. Remember that time I hadn't been taken in as a pupil.
Yes.
So as I went to the bathroom, I'm in the bathroom, the booths in the bathroom for the urinals.
Yes.
As I'm using one, the door opens and a gentleman walks in and comes to the booth next to me and says, hi. So, hi. Oh, I realized, this is Professor. And at that time, I think he wasn't Professor. And he starts talking to me there. Oh, you are? I tell him my name. Oh, you're the one who had come to see me? Yes. And he tells me, he asks me about my schooling. We are using the facility. He asks me about where did you go to school? I tell him Kericho High School. Is that close to Mangu? And I tell him, no. That's where it's in Kericho. Is it close to Alliance? I tell him, no again. Where did you go to university? I tell him, Moyo University. There's a faculty of law there. Which professors taught you? I told him, Professor FX Njenga, the late. He passed away. He tells me, oh, that one? Is there any other? No, only one professor. So from the way the conversation was going, he looked disappointed about my academic credentials and where I would go, my alma mater, where I'd gone to school. So we finished. I'm washing my hands and he asks me, do you need to use that? Do you need to wash your hands? Have you touched something dirty? And I look at him and I wonder, oh, okay. Anyway, so we walk out. I think we are going to his office, but he's headed to the lift. He tells me, come. So I walk with him. He's asking me questions. So the interview is going on. We've taken the lift down. We are walking on the streets. We're headed to ABSA. Right? That time it was Barclays Bank, our client, the firm's client at the time. So we go into a boardroom. We sit there and conversations are going on with the client. And the ultimate question is posed to him. So what is the way forward in the matter? He looks at me and tells me, Jeff, what do you think? And I gave whatever I thought, my thoughts. I shared my thoughts. So he said, so we'll do that. And then he added something small on top of it.
That's baptism by fire.
Absolutely. So finished, when you left, he told me, now go and do an opinion along the lines of what we have discussed. And that was my interview. And so when I went back to the office, I had to ask, I've been told to do this and this. I don't have a computer. So I was given a computer somewhere to work on. And that's how I joined Muhammad Muigai.
It's an amazing and unique story.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Earlier, you mentioned the late Justice Majanja.
Yes.
I would want us to explore a bit. Who was your pupil master when you're here?
So, like the hyena again, I straddled two paths. Majanja, Professor Mugai was my pupil master. He's the one who signed my deed, pupilage deed. But the person under whose feet I learned the practice of law was the late Justice Majanja. So we were very good friends. He was my other father. I grew up with him and learning from him. Yes.
And speaking of learning from people within the farm who you met here, what could you say you learned from the different individuals who you met, starting from Muhammad Prof and all the rest?
So they have different traits, which if you put them together, I think it's a very good combination, and I think that's how they worked very well together. So Professor is very good at advocacy. He's very good at advocacy. You would present submissions to him, 10 pages, 15 pages. He would read them. When you see them in the morning, you see he has highlighted here, and then there's a big circle somewhere. When you see him in court presenting, he won't go through all the things you've put there. He'll pick the theme of the case, the justice of the case, and make a very compelling argument of that point. And his oratory skills are very good. So it's very persuasive and very good. So that's one of the things I learned from Professor. From the late Justice Majanja, his drafting skills were impeccable. He was very concise. He would write a defense. He liked a defense which is not more than one page. If it's worst case scenario, 2 pages. A libel case, you would have 5 paragraphs. Just the front page of the whatever, and it's finished. His question always used to be, what is your defense? And that time he used to do a lot of libel matters, defending the media houses. So once I got to learn the defenses in defamation, I would tell him qualified privilege. Like, fine, if it's qualified privilege, that's 1 paragraph. These are things you deny. You can admit publication if it's not contested. And you ask prayers. What else? The purpose of a defense is to put forward what your main theory response to the claim is. That 1 paragraph is sufficient. So he was very, very precise and concise in terms of his drafting. So I learned very, very much from him on that. And of course, his grasp of the law was second to none. He had his brain was amazing, and his recollection very, very good. From Mr. Nyaoga, Senior Counsel, I started learning about business, the business of law from Mr. Nyaoga, Senior Counsel. He has a very good business mind, and I think that explains his vast empire. He taught me how to bill, dealing with clients, attracting clients, retaining clients. I learned that from Mr. Nyaoga. He's very, very good at that. So I think if you put that stellar cast of the people under whom I learned and grew up, I think you can see that it's possible to get a very good, if you're able to pick up the good traits from them, you can be a very good advocate. Yes.
And it explains, I think, the success of the farm, to have these different skill sets coming together.
I would think so. That they complement each other so well that one person is a rainmaker, that is Muhammad, is a rainmaker, and Professor is very good at presentation in court, and that's why the firm mostly has been, for the longest time, mainly a dispute resolution firm. Of course, we have commercial and transaction advisory and real estate business practice. But for the senior partners, those complementary skills are very good and help the firm to be where it is now. Yeah.
All right. If you could give one piece of advice to people who are going through pupilage, what would it be?
Pupilage is a very sensitive stage and critical stage in your studies. First, my advice to those ones who are in campus, if you're able to join a law firm for internship, if you get an opportunity, take it. It's very important to try between first year and fourth year of law school, or even when you're doing your School of Law Studies, to get some insights from a law firm. Work in a law firm for a month or 2 months. It's comes very useful when you're now doing your practicals at Kenya School of Law, because now you understand the nuances of what you've been taught theoretically. Practically, you can see how they are to be applied. Now, when you're joining a law firm for pupilage, your attitude is very important. Your attitude is very important because you may have been the top student in your campus or Kenya School of Law, but you'll see draft 1 to draft 6 marked in red, and people don't like that. People, especially those ones who are high performers, don't like their work being torn apart. And then at least I wouldn't think that it is being done out of malice. It is, you are being pushed. And that's the discomfort I was talking about. You must accept discomfort. Your papers are going to be marked down, change this, change that. You send it, it's more changes. You may find this change as more accept it. It is part of learning. It's part of learning. Have an attitude of learning, and you'll go through that. And you must be able to do research. Research is very important. As I say, the 1% rule. What you did today, try and add 1% tomorrow. In terms of effort, in terms of output. If you do that, cumulatively, you will have grown substantially. So, and your attitude during pupilage is very important. You must be reliable. You must be consistent. That if you're given work, I know that Gabriel is going to return this work with this level of quality. Not today, the quality is up. Tomorrow, the quality is down. You'll be released. They'll let you go. But if I know I can trust Gabriel to deliver this work to that same quality, and if we have agreed it's going to be done by this time and it's delivered by that time, that consistency assures you're going to succeed in legal practice. Yes. And
so you complete your pupilage, then you're admitted to the bar. When was that? When were you admitted to the bar?
In 2004.
Okay. And from your admission, did you continue staying here as an associate throughout?
No, I had a break in the year, I think 2006. Kenya Shell then was one of our corporate clients. The late Justice Majanja was their principal counsel.
Yes.
The Catherine Musakali, was their head of legal. So she had taken secondment in the London office for a year. So because of the relationship that the firm had with them, they asked for us to second somebody to them. And I was picked. So I went to Kenya Shell. I worked in Kenya Shell for 1 year. It was a very interesting experience. So I took that period for 1 year, and they had wanted me to stay. They had wanted me to stay there. But Professor had put in a clause in the agreement, secondment letter, that he has a veto right on that. And he exercised the veto to say, no, you're not going to do that. Okay. So I came back to the firm after 1 year.
All right.
Yes.
So you come back to the firm, you work for a bit. At what point do you make part? In fact, I remember recently, I was just going back in my emails to the time when I joined in 2010. And at that time, you were already partner in charge of litigation at that time. So when did you make partner?
Immediately I came back from Kenya Shell, I made partner. That is in 2008. Yes, I made partner immediately I came back.
You must have acquitted yourself properly to be given that heavy responsibility.
It's a huge responsibility, and at the time you're being informed of that. It's so daunting. You don't think you can measure up. Especially at that time, I think I was 4 years in practice. It's so daunting. But those who had the privilege to make the decision made the decision, and
here we are. And here we are as managing partner. When did you make managing partner?
I made managing partner in 2018. 2018. Yeah.
It has been a long journey to where you've got to today. What would you say has changed in you, and also what would you say has changed in the farm as an institution?
Let's start with the farm. As an institution, we have had transitions. Like, for instance, the late Justice Majanja left the farm, transited out, and where, of course, we have now a bigger chunk of our advocates are younger. Are younger than myself. So we have a youthful farm. Apart from the senior partners, and I think the two clerks you mentioned, the rest of the farm is young, relatively young. Let me say relatively young, from the 40s coming down to 20s. And that comes with its own challenges, but also many benefits in terms of vibrancy, in terms of cohesion. It's very useful so that you can be able to, you're more dynamic because people are agile. As a person, I think I've become more patient. I've learned to be patient. I've learned to be more accommodating, more understanding. You know, this position is not an easy position to be in. I keep telling people that one of my most difficult roles is managing people. Managing people is very difficult. People have different perceptions, ways of understanding things. You might think something is obvious. Nothing is obvious. Things which you think are non-issues are very big issues to other people. And you can't assume, you can't ignore, you can't brush it off. You must have a way of giving an ear, but still having a firm hand to be able to push the entire organization forward. So, yeah, I think those are a few of the things that have changed in me as a person.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up, what is your vision for Muhammad Bigai?
My vision for Muhammad Bigai is to first ensure that this transition, as you mentioned, is properly midwifed. That the up and coming advocates, partners, take up the cudgels of authority and management of the farm, so that we are able to move the farm to the next level, to have the farm operate as a transnational, international farm, and be able to attract the high-end clients that we would want, to be able to ensure that our employees benefit from the benefits that the farm gets in terms of fees, in terms of their personal growth, in terms of their health, grow their families. That's what I see. I'd like as the farm grows, the employees should grow with the farm and enjoy the benefits that come with being in the farm of this caliber. Yes.
Two final questions. You're quite an avid reader. What are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading Alabama versus King. This is it's a case about segregation in the US. So, because of certain acts of civil disobedience by Martin Luther King, he was charged in court for fomenting civil unrest when the boycotts of the buses in Alabama. So there's a book which has been written, which now walks you through that whole trial. It's very interesting. I like audiobooks. Sometimes I have chiefs with my wife because when I go to sleep, I listen to an audio book. So I'll sleep, I'll wake up at some point in the night, I rewind to where I stopped, pick it from there. And of course, sometimes it disturbs her in her sleep. So I like that. Even when I'm driving, sometimes I listen to the audiobooks. So I enjoy that, yes.
Okay. And apart from reading, finally, how do you unwind being a very busy man?
So I have a routine. I mostly wake up at 4 in the morning. Actually, I wake up at 4 in the morning. I go to the gym in the morning. I enjoy working out. So I'll work out by the time coming to the office, 7:30. I've been at the gym, let my stress out, and I feel more energetic. I'm a morning person, so I have more energy in the morning. And it gets to around 4 p.m., I'm as useless as they come in terms of output. So I like that. I also like cycling. I've taken up cycling in the last 2 years. Right now, I'm doing around 60 kilometers of cycling on a Saturday. And I want to try to do Naivasha and continue growing that. I also like hiking. I do hikes. I've done a couple of hikes, and one of these days I want to scale Mount Kenya. My wife beat me to it. She did Mount Kenya last year, and I think I need to get up to the challenge of doing Mount Kenya.
Thank you, Jeff, very much for joining us in this episode. And on that visionary and inspired note, that brings us to the end of today's episode of In Chambers with Muhammad Prof.